Hello, juniors in high school. My name is Fernando Molina. I am an old friend of Ms. Breyer. We go all the way back to high school. I think it was middle school actually, but we didn't really become good friends until the end of high school. But anyway, she mentioned to me that you guys were talking about the immigration and the immigration process in your government class, and she wanted me to answer a few questions. Mainly because I went through that process myself. So I think this is a fantastic idea. You can read about the immigration process and the process of becoming a U.S. citizen. You can read about it in books. You have quizzes about it. You can have essays about it. But I think it's a fantastic idea to actually hear it from someone that actually went through it. So I hope this helps. Any questions that you guys might have after this, please don't hesitate to ask me. I'll give Allison my contact information, and she can email me or call me with any question that you guys might have after this. So first of all, like I said before, my name is Fernando Molina. I am from Guatemala, which is in Central America. I'm 29 years old. Excuse me, I'm 29 years old. I graduated from Parkway South High School back in 2008 with Ms. Breyer. And I am currently the player development coordinator for the Kentucky PGA. I'm not good at golf, but I understand the business of golf, which is I always tell people that because when they hear that I work for the PGA, they think I'm a pro. Not at all. I'm a soccer guy, as Allison can tell you. But anyways, I was 12 years old when I moved to the U.S., which is back in 2001, 2002. It's a long time ago. So now I've lived most of my life here in the U.S., more than half of my life here in the U.S. And the reason why my family and I moved here was because of my dad's job. He worked for a company here in the U.S., but his office was in Guatemala. He worked from home because his job required him to travel from Guatemala to South America, to Central America, to Mexico, like literally almost every other week. So he worked from home, but his company got bought out by a bigger company called Berry-Way-Miller, which is based off of it in St. Louis. And the new policy was that every employee that worked for that company had to live, where headquarters was, which is in St. Louis. So we had no choice but to move here. But we were lucky. We were lucky to have that opportunity. My dad was very lucky to have that opportunity. So he did not hate it. It was hard for us, but hard for him to tell us that we had to move and leave all of our friends and family. But we knew this was a fantastic opportunity for him, so we didn't hesitate to support him, and that's what we did. We moved up here to St. Louis. One of the questions is, what was it like once you moved from Guatemala to the U.S.? Well, as you can imagine, like the first few months was really, really hard for us. We were really homesick. We moved here not knowing anybody. It was just the five of us. It was my mom, my dad, my brother, sister, myself. So we became really close the first couple of years that we were already close, we're family, but since we only had each other, we became a lot closer than we were before because of that. So it was really hard for us in the beginning. As far as like the differences and the similarities between Guatemala and the U.S., and then there's a lot of them, but believe it or not, Guatemala is not that much different from the U.S. And when I say that, I say that because we have malls, we have those restaurant chains, those worldwide restaurant chains. Everything that you can think of that you have here, we have in Guatemala. Just the culture is different, obviously, but believe it or not, most countries in Latin America are very, I guess we call it Americanized. But let me tell you a little bit just about the process of becoming a citizen. Now, it took us, I want to say, a total of 10 years, if not more, from the day that we moved to St. Louis to the day that we became citizens. Now, 10 years is a lot, and everyone that goes through the same process everyone goes through this process. Everyone that goes through this process, like it took us 10 years. There's people that it takes them, 6 years, 7 years, 20 years, 30 years. Everyone is different, depending on the situation and what they're going through. But it took us 10 years. So before we even applied to becoming a citizen, we had to get our green card, which is basically our permanent resident card. Once we got our permanent resident card, that card allowed us to get jobs, and because in high school, I think I got it when I was in high school, and I wanted to work, I wanted to make money, because that's what a lot of my friends did. So once we got the green card, once we got the status of permanent residence, we were able to get jobs, and you were eligible to apply for citizenship 5 years after you got the green card. So once we got the green card, it took us 5 years to apply for citizenship. And once we apply for the citizenship, the government sends you a study guide of 100 questions, and you had to study it. And the test actually is not 100 questions. The test is only 10 of them. They're going to ask you 10 questions of the 100 that are in their study guide. Probably seems like a lot, but believe it or not, it's relatively easy test. They ask you pretty common questions regarding, the U.S. government, who's your current president, who was the first president in the United States. Questions that, to us, to me, and most of you guys who are grew up with a good education, it seems pretty easy. It's not the same for everyone. There's people that take the test that never went to high school here, never really knew anything about the U.S. government until they moved here. So it's not as easy for those people. To me, it was, and my family it was. So we're very lucky. We're very fortunate that was the case. But there's a lot of people there that struggle with this. 100 tests, 100 questions for them, 10 questions for them out of the 100 is going to be really hard for a lot of people. Luckily for me, it wasn't, but I still studied. I still made 100 flashcards. I still studied them with my family. We used to have family nights where we just went through them, and it was a piece of cake for us. But we still had to do it. We still took it very, very seriously, as we should, as everyone who's going through this process should, because it's not an easy process. So once we studied the test, once we applied, and that's just I have to mention, it's not cheap to do this. It's very expensive. I forget the actual numbers, but I remember my dad telling all of us that we had to get it right this first time, because it's a very expensive process, and he's put a lot of hard work into this, so we didn't want to let him down. So even though, like I said, the test was really easy, we still took it very seriously. We still studied. So once we felt like we were ready to take the test, we went to a government building downtown St. Louis, took the test, and once we got the results back saying that we passed it, they gave us a date to go in and do an interview. Now the interview process, it was a little hard for us, because it's very intimidating. These people that are interviewing are not the nicest people out there. They're obviously they're not there to be your friends. They're there to make sure that the people who are going through this process are not only doing it the right way, like the legal way, but they want to make sure that whoever they let into their country are going to contribute to society. So they're very picky. So it was really nerve-wracking to go through that interview. Luckily for me, the lady that I had was not that bad. She's going to ask you personal questions regarding how long you've been here, what I do for a living, how much money you make a year, how many times did I go back to Guatemala every year, how many times did I travel. They want to get as specific as possible as far as your experience here and what your current living situation was at the time. But, I had nothing to hide. My family had nothing to hide. Yes, it was nerve-wracking, and we were very scared. But like my mom told me, you should not be scared. You have nothing to hide. We're doing everything we're supposed to be doing. We're not doing anything illegal. So we clear that part of the interview process. So once that happens, once you wait, a few months until they tell you whether or not you passed. They will send it to you in the mail, and you have once we pass, we had to go to this graduation ceremony where you officially become a U.S. citizen. You know, you sing the national anthem. Uh, you're there with other people that went through the same process, and it's a really cool ceremony because you see people from all over the world that have applied to become a citizen. And the coolest part of that ceremony was the fact that, I think it was 30 of us at the time. One by one, they asked us, where we're from, what we currently do, and the reason why we moved here, and the reason why we wanted to do here, why we wanted to be here. And it was really eye-opening when I saw, people from all over the world with different backgrounds, different, jobs, but all of us, we have one thing in common. We wanted to be part of this country. We wanted to be a citizen of this country. So even though we didn't know each other at all, we spent the ceremony lasted 2 hours, so we spent a good hour or so talking to each other, and it was a really cool bonding experience with people that are going through the same thing as me. So becoming a U.S. citizen, it was a very proud moment for me and my family. My dad put a lot of work into this, so that was the main reason why we felt so good about it, because we wanted to let my dad know that that he made it. My dad's dream since he moved here was for his family to become U.S. citizens. So that was the first thing that we thought of when we became a U.S. citizen. And then there's a part of me that also was very, very happy to become a U.S. citizen, because I basically grew up here. This is where I'm from. This is where all of my friends are from. So it was a very exciting moment for me, and I'm very proud of my family and I for doing this and for being here, and I couldn't have it any other way. What's another question here? What is your current relationship to Guatemala? We're still very connected with all of our family. We talk to each other on a daily basis. We have a huge chat group in WhatsApp, so we talk almost on a daily basis. The first few years when I moved here, we went back every 4 times a year. In the first few years, we went 4 times a year because we were very homesick. We really wanted to go back with our family and friends. We didn't want them to forget us, and and they didn't want us to forget them. So we went back as much as possible, as much as we could. Now I only go back there once a year, usually Christmas time, or if there's a wedding, I might go there. But it's only twice a year. But I am yet to miss 1 year when I didn't visit Guatemala, and I will continue to do so for as long as I can. My parents, on the other hand, they go back. I want to say 10 times a year, if not more. Every time there's a birthday, every time there's a wedding, every time somebody gets sick, my mom tries to go there as much as possible. She uses anything she can as an excuse to go back. Not that she doesn't love it here. She loves it here, but she also has a lot of friends and family still down there as myself, but it's different for her. And that's basically it, all in a nutshell, about regarding the process that I went through becoming a U.S. citizen. I hope this helps, Allison. I hope this helps. Like I said, if you guys have any questions about anything regarding this, please do not hesitate to contact me and let me know. I am more than happy to help. So like I said, thank you very much, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Have a good one.